I'm Carmen Pierce. I'm the management associate here at Studio Theater. I've been here now coming up on like 2 years. And so Studio Theater, we're located in DC, a regional theater. We've got four performance spaces like within our building. And it's an old, like, we always like the bones of the building are like concrete and brick and steel. So not good for Wi-Fi and IT, but we'll get into that. So yeah, we're operating in a pretty old, like, historic building, and it's beautiful. And we've got these four different spaces that we utilize for whichever performance it calls for. So we have plays or performances running about like 6 to 8 weeks, sometimes 10, sometimes 12 if we have a hit on our hands. A lot of times they come, like, we get them from Broadway or like unknown writers that come to us. So it's really sweet and a lovely artistic endeavor if you're interested in the arts. And we also have like really beautiful spaces. Even like without our performance spaces, we've got like our atrium, and we've got a lot of lobby space. And so we also have like a lot of event rentals that are happening. So a lot of conferences will use our space, and outside vendors and galas, receptions, weddings. We had a bar mitzvah here like 2 weeks ago. So it's a really beautiful space for gathering. We like produce in-house. So like we've got like our production staff and our carpenters, our painters, all of those people. So like they do that in-house, but like, so a production like that, it's kind of, don't want to say like rare for us, but like to bring in like an already established production and then like just kind of like have it housed within us is like rare but doable. This is so funny. Yeah, like the reason we went to Orion, we were kind of in a bit of a bind. Like when I first started here, I'm part of like the IT team here, and I always say I'm not even the best at IT. So we really were struggling to find like an outside vendor, so it wasn't me and my own supervisor Amanda like running around trying to help everyone all at once. And so yeah, like my first couple of weeks here, we were battling. I think they were already in the process of like, oh my gosh, we're really struggling with our current IT provider, and they're not very responsive, and even when they do respond, it's the time it takes for them to solve the issue at hand has gotten a bit further than how we would like it to be. And so we were really looking for someone new. And so that's when I came in. One of my first assignments at studio, like near 2 years ago, was to research like local vendors and find someone. Because our last vendor, I think they were based a couple of states away. So that was also a deciding factor with Orion. So it was on me to gather about like 5 to 10 people like around the DMV area. Again, like we're located in DC, so we were like specifically looking for like people that could come out and like help when we needed someone on site like immediately. And Orion like fit all of those boxes. Like I'm getting ahead of myself, but like whenever there's an emergency, we can have someone from Orion on site here within like a half an hour. And so that's been really beautiful. So yeah, deciding factors were the locality, the swiftness with which they respond to us, and I think a very people-first organization. They're not so much concerned with like the company mechanisms of the organization. It's more so like, oh, Carmen's asked me for this thing. What does Carmen need in this moment? Or what does Amanda, my supervisor, need? Or a lot of times, like we have like performance issues. So like our audience services director will reach out and say, oh my gosh, like Orion, please help, because we have, maybe like our caption devices that people will sometimes use like during performances for like hard of hearing. Like those will sometimes go down, and Orion is very quick to help us with that. So very, very high octane situations that Orion is like there for. So yeah, it's been great. And so yeah, again, long-winded, but the reason we reached out: locality, personable, kind, easy to work with, affordable for the most part. Yeah. So they have several like ways of contacting them, which I found really helpful. Like Orion will have, of course, their email function, and I tell people all the time, like when I'm onboarding, like there's also their chat function that I love to utilize. So if you're really in a bind, you can just open the chat box, and it's not like a robot helping you. Like I feel like I know like all of their screen names now. There's Max and Harris and Rashid and AJ, and so someone that you know is going to respond to you from their side and help you like that. And a lot of times they will remote into my own laptop and just like solve the problem for me. Like before I can even, I'll just say, hi, I'm having issues with the printer, and they'll say, okay, great, we're on it, and they will just go in and do it, and like figure out they like do all the troubleshooting. It's like really lovely. And then they also you can reach them like by telephone, and like that's a really great option too. So it's phone, it's chat, it's email, and it's on site. So I think there's so many different channels and ways to communicate with them, which I think is why their communication response time is so effective and efficient. Their being so close to us has greatly improved our I think just our office morale in general. I've heard from various coworkers of like, back in the olden days of our old provider, like, we're having this problem and it's been going on for weeks, and hopefully we'll get someone out here soon. And now fast forward with Orion, one of my coworkers will say, hey, I've got this problem. Okay, great, we can have, thanks for telling me. We'll have someone out this afternoon to help. So yeah, it's been really lovely. Orion often will go above and beyond with I think their over communication. It's something we laugh about, but like lovingly, like they will check in like 2 or 3 times after the issue is solved, just to ensure that everything is still running smoothly and still okay, even after like 48 hours after an incident has occurred. And so that's really great. I get calls from Orion all the time of just checking in to make sure like that's your ticket from yesterday is still currently under control. And so we appreciate that so much. And I like specific examples of them just above and beyond. It's like, I remember we had to reroute all of our APs, our access points, throughout the building. We've got like 10 different, I call them little spaceships, but they're 10 different access points to spew out the Wi-Fi around. And it was so wonderful. Like, of course they came out and like wired it and did a really lovely job, but some of the wires were like different colors. And so they came back out and like basically redid it to like switch out those wires to make them all white so that they would like match and blend in with our walls, which they didn't have to do. Like they took it upon themselves to be like, yeah, that could look better, and they fixed it. And so it's little touches like that where they kind of read your mind and say, oh, you didn't ask for this, but we feel like this would probably be what you wanted in the first place. And it's like, oh my gosh, yes, that is absolutely what we wanted. Thank you so much. So yeah, I think they're very they read us well. It's been a good collaboration with them.